will be discussing about Tao Te Ching with us. So the Sutra of Tao Te, right, is a sutra from Lao Tzu. And although every short chapter of it looks very short, but the meaning behind it is very profound. And also, by understanding this sutra, it actually helps us to better understand our true self and also about Tao, right? So again, we welcome lecturer Susannah, and let us pass the time to lecturer Susannah.
Okay, good evening, my dear brothers and sisters.
Good evening.
Good evening. I'm very honored. Thank you for having me once again. And tonight, I think I'll review what we have learned last time, and then we will proceed to the new content. First of all, thanks to the grace of heaven, the virtues of our holy teachers, the mercy of our Lao Tianren up in heaven, and thank you, masters and lecturers, for all of your arrangements and attendance. Thank you. And last time we shared chapter 2. We shared this verse from Zhongyong. We shared this picture, a feather, and this verse, virtue being as light as a feather. Why we use a feather to describe virtue? Because if we feel burdened, if we feel heavy at heart, how can we be virtuous? Virtues come from a light heart. So feather is used to describe being light-hearted, being carefree. However, a feather still has its weight, but the beauty of Tao, the beauty of our true nature is true void, is true tranquility. So we all know that 修道修心, to cultivate Tao is to cultivate our mind and thoughts. So what we learn from this verse is less is more. Less burden, less trouble, then we will be more virtuous. But the question is, nowadays everyone is so busy. Like we propagate Tao, and I believe most of you have your work too. So in your tight schedule, you have a lot of things to do. How can you be burdenless at heart? So it takes cultivation. To cultivate is to let go all the trouble, all the burdens in mind, and in the meantime, shoulder our responsibility. Ordinary people, when they shoulder their responsibility, they go into a lot of trouble because all the things, all the external environment, all the external things will interfere with their emotions, their feelings inside. But as a cultivator, well, we just learn, we try to comprehend the true void, true tranquility, and it is very profound. But that's the meaning, that's the point of cultivating Tao. Without finding our true nature, without discover our own original, void, tranquil, perfect, true nature, then there is, without discovering this, then there is no point in cultivating Tao. Okay, so the first point we shared last time is the feather, to describe a light-hearted, a light heart, to describe a carefree heart. With a carefree heart, so we can be more virtuous. And then we have chapter 2, the first verse, 天下皆知美之为美，斯恶已. When the world knows beauty is beauty, ugliness arises. We know the standard of beauty is set by humans, and there is no fixed standard. The standard may change in accordance with the trend, the fashion. So since the standard of beauty may be different in different places and times, so the standard of external beauty is not and has never been the external, the eternal truth. The standard of the external beauty is not the eternal truth, is not the absolute truth. However, once the standard is formed, once the standard is generally acknowledged, then people start to appreciate, start to praise those who meet the standard, and they start to define what is so-called ugliness. So since people set the standard of beauty, then ugliness arises. So 思恶意 means ugliness arises. Before people set the standard of beauty, there is no beauty, there is no ugliness, there is no discrimination. But once people set the standard, then the ugliness arises. So people will try either to appreciate, praise people who meet that standard, or people will, by oneself, to pursue after to try to meet that standard. And 思恶意, there is another explanation for 思恶意, because 恶 means not good. So 思恶意 can also explain as it's not good. So we can say that it's not good to pursue after external beauty because it will cause a lot of trouble for ourselves. So to restore our inner beauty is the absolute truth, is the eternal truth. To pursue after external beauty, try to meet that standard is no good. Okay, and next verse. 皆知善之为善，斯不善已. When it knows, it means the world. When the world knows good as good, evil arises. We know doing good deeds is beautiful. Doing good deeds is good, and doing good deeds is very kind because it's out of our true nature. But if we do good deeds if we do good deeds with the purpose of earning merits and virtues in heaven, or to earn recognition and praises from the world, 如果我们做好事，纯粹只是希望得到上天给我们的功德，或者只是希望获得世人的赞美， then it's no good in Tao cultivation because it is not out of our true nature. Now, in Tao society, we know there's a holy revelation, 功德银行. We encourage people, we encourage Tao members to establish merits and virtues in order to make deposits into the 功德银行. Well, it's an encouragement, but the true meaning is when we start to cultivate our heart and mind, we need to get rid of 功德相. If we do all the good deeds, we devote, we dedicate, we sacrifice, but without the intention to earn our own merits and virtues for ourselves. But it's just from our true nature, we just want to help, then there is true 功德. If we stick to earn and count how many merits and virtues we have earned today, then our 功德 will be very, very limited. 思不善已, then it is no good. Okay, and this picture shows us the beauty of nature. The beauty of nature is displayed even when nobody is watching. Similarly, Tao cultivation, the same. Tao cultivation is not to show to others that we are very kind, we are very good people, not to show to other people. Tao cultivation is simply to restore our true nature, to return to our heavenly home. And then we talk a lot about duality, 有无相生. Thus, being and non-being produce each other. If there is no concept or there is no experience of having things, then there is no desire of being in want of something. It's a very good example of these children in India. They were taking a selfie with their slipper. Very good example. Probably they have never had a real mobile phone, so they don't think they need it, and they just play to take a selfie. They're very happy, very contented. And another sad story, a teenager sold one of his kidneys in order to buy newest iPad and iPhone in 2011, and eventually he got infection, and now the only kidney left is not functioning. He needs to go through daily renal dialysis. It's very sad. So two stories just opposite to each other. So we learn from this, 有无相生. If we don't have that desire, then if we don't have that experience, don't have that concept, then we wouldn't have a desire that we are in want of something. So in terms of Tao cultivation, less is more. Since probably we all have the experience, like we have the experience of the newest phone, newest mobile device, but we can cut down our desire. Ordinary people, when they have the experience and they develop their desire, but Tao cultivator, we have experience, but we, through cultivation, we can cut down our desire, because we know less is more. Less desire, more happiness. And then last time, this was the last verse we shared last time. 难易相成, difficult and easy bring about each other. We talk about a task can only be considered easy if we compare it to some other task that is more difficult, and vice versa. A task can only be considered difficult if we compare it to some other task that is easier. So in real life, what's gone is gone. We can only seize the present moment, and we can only hope for a better future. If we hope the challenges we are going to face in our journey of life in the future wouldn't be too difficult for us, wouldn't defeat us, then right now, what should we do? Right now, we had better not stay in our comfort zone. Make it a habit to be diligent, not lazy, not stay in our comfort zone. And this principle, 难易相成, if we want our future life to be easier, then now we need to train ourselves, have the capability to face any environment. If we are strong enough, then our challenges will be easier. If we are weak, because we stay in our comfort zone always, then probably just a very small challenge to other people will be a big one for us. So this principle does not only apply to big vision, but also to smaller things like getting up early or doing exercises. So staying in comfort zone will lose our capability to face challenges. There's a saying, a smooth sea never made a skilled sailor. Okay, so the above were what we have shared last time, and today we are going to start from here. 长短相 应该是长短相乘 I believe it was it's a mistake. I think it's 长短相乘. Long and short reveal each other. Okay. Since we live in a world of duality, similarly, there is no long, if there is no long, then there is no short. This is simply opposite to each other. And above and below display each other. If there is no above, then there is no below. We can see there are taller buildings and there are short buildings, and which remind me of several decades ago. Several decades ago, I lived on the fourth floor of a four-story building, like maybe 40 years ago. And I had a very good window view, and all the buildings were below me. When I looked through my window, all the buildings were below me, and there was endless blue sky during the daytime. And during the nighttime, the moon, the stars were so close to me. And now I still live in the same building, on the same on the same apartment, in the same apartment. But currently, when I look through the window, the only thing I can see is the walls of the neighboring buildings, and all the surrounding buildings are taller than mine. You see, I live in the same apartment, but because of comparison, my situation is totally different. So this this verse tells us tall or short, tall or short building. It's just a matter of comparison. When you are in a favorable position, as a matter of comparison, when you are in a favorable position, no need to feel superior to others. There's no need to feel proud, to feel superior. When we are in an unfavorable position, there is no need to feel sad, because the external environment, which position, higher position or lower position you are in, it's just a matter of comparison. So simply keep 平常心, a peaceful heart, all the same, because we remain the same. And no matter what changes happening in the external environment, hopefully we can reduce their influences over our emotions, over our mind. Then we are on the right track of Tao cultivation. And this, the same. If there is no quiet, there is no loudness. Therefore, quiet and loudness are relative. When we are in a very quiet place, and all of a sudden there is a loud voice, then we are shocked. But when we are in a very noisy environment, then it makes no difference whether there's a loud sound or loud voice or not. It makes no difference. So quiet and loudness are relative. And 前后相随, front and back follow each other. If there is no front, there is no back. Therefore, front and back are relative. So it just the world of duality. So living in the world of duality, the right attitude would be don't compare, don't compete with others, because comparison and competition will only bring us troubles. And everyone has his own karma. We just do our best and let nature take its course. Well, if we must compare, then compare with those who are less fortunate, so that we can count, we can cherish our blessings. Like probably people will complain that they don't have enough money. But think about it. Even though we don't have enough money, but we have enough food. But some people in the world, they don't have enough food to eat. They go to sleep in a state of hunger. And if we must compete, do not compete with other people. compete with who we were yesterday. And then we can be a better version of ourselves. Everyone has his own advantage. Everyone has his or her own shortcoming. In my experience, never compare your own shortcoming with other people's advantage. If you do that, you will have a sense of inferiority. You will feel that you are inferior to others, but don't forget that you have your own advantage. But don't compare your advantage with other people's shortcoming. If we do that, we will feel over arrogant. Don't forget, we have advantage, but we have shortcoming. So each other, we just support each other. We support others with our advantage. And when we feel weak, when we need help, then people will help us. Well, it's the law of cause and effect. So as a short summary for the previous verses in chapter 2 is duality. We live in a world of duality. Duality means two. There are two, one as opposed to the other. So in the world of duality, a descriptive concept creates its own opposite. So each half of duality cannot exist without the other. So beautiful and ugly. Being beautiful cannot exist if there is no being ugly. So I remember in the past, our 老前人 always encourage us. 老前人 allow me to say in Chinese. 老前人说不要尽说别人不好，如果没有他的不好，怎么能够显出你的好？ We sometimes people tend to complain about other people's being not good enough, being not nice enough, being so-called 修得不好。老前人 said, if they are very good, if they are all have cultivated very good, they are all attend like Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, then we, among all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, we are nothing. We are worthless. So don't complain about other people's being not good enough, being not virtuous enough. We just concentrate on cultivating ourselves, improving ourselves. And in the world of duality, probably because other people, they are not good enough, and in that situation, your kindness, your goodness will be very obvious. So this is a world of duality. And if we compare, the list of comparison goes on and on. So when we live in this world, we know duality is not the ultimate truth, and oneness is. So do not discriminate, do not be judgmental. We simply help and support each other. And it takes two people to fight. It takes two to fight, two to argue, two to compete, and two to compare. If one stops, then the other cannot exist. Like, you know, people are very easy to have arguments over trivial things with their loved ones, like with their family members. Just argue over trivial things, meaningless arguments. But in Tao cultivation, although those things are very small, but if we can start to cultivate in small things happening in our daily life, then we can accumulate our own stability. So next time, if you start an argument with a loved one, with a family member of a very little thing, then if you find that both of you start to fight, to argue, then the first one to stop, or usually people will think the first one to stop saying anything is the one who lose the game, who lose the argumentation. But in terms of Tao cultivation, the first one to stop is the winner, because you stop a fight, you stop an argument, you stop a competition. Okay. And so saints and sages understand all the problems arisen from the concept of duality. So in order to overcome the emotional burden caused by the problems happening in the world of duality, that we want to be praised, we don't want to be blamed, we want to be rewarded, and in order to avoid the emotional problems caused by like arguments with our friends or our family members, in order to avoid all of this trouble, saints and sages, they do everything with 无为. 圣人处无为之事, 无为. So apparently 无为 is Chinese, is Mandarin. And why we don't use an English term to translate? Because there is no proper English counterpart. So we go, and in many places of the philosophy, I found in many places they use 无为 too. They don't translate. So we need to find some characteristics of 无为. We summarize the characteristics into 4. The first one is 无为 is 无为而无所不为. 无为 doesn't mean do nothing, but 无为 do nothing with a self-centered purpose. 它不是什么事都不做，它是不做有我执的事情。So what does self-centeredness mean? Being self-centered means being stubborn, being not flexible, being prejudiced. And a person practice an attitude of 无为 actually is 非常合道的. So here it just says Tao does nothing with a self-centered purpose. And yet there's nothing that Tao does not do in this universe. Because without a self-centered purpose, without self-centeredness, so actually his potential, his capability can manifest fully. So can do many, many things. And when the person with this 无为 attitude, when he or she is doing things, he accomplishes everything. Number 2, Tao accomplishes everything. And this we can learn from the Mother Nature. In the nature, everything is flourishing, everything is thriving, and Mother Nature helps everything according to their situation, according to their aptitude. Like Mother Nature will help a pumpkin seed to grow into a pumpkin. Mother Nature will help a watermelon seed to grow into a watermelon. So Mother Nature helps everything according to their situation. So in our Tao society, if you can practice this, we help without a self-centered purpose. Try to help everyone. This is called 见道成道. Try to help everyone according to their situation. And I think in this way we can build up many good affinities. 我们可以结很多善缘. And number 3, when using this attitude of 无为 to understand circumstances, we will not be disturbed. Since we 无为, we we don't have a self-centered purpose. So we won't punish us. Some people said, being angry is to punish ourselves with other people's fault. Other people make mistakes and we feel angry. It's not fair because it's not our mistake, it's other people's mistake. So there's a saying, being angry is to punish yourself with other people's mistakes, with other people's faults. So if we can apply this attitude of Wu Wei, it's easier not to punish ourselves with other people's fault. And number 4 of Wu Wei, therefore, we won't use a tone of argument to demand or to teach people. We won't use harsh words and stern looks, like very seriously and demanding, that make people afraid of us. We won't do that. So saints and sages, they understand living in the world of duality. There are a lot of problems. They do everything with Wu Wei, and they conduct the teaching of no words. 他们行不言之教. And conduct the teaching of no words. Don't saints and sages say anything at all? They say, of course not. They say a lot of things. So all the scriptures were the words said by saints and sages. But they have given us so many teachings, but they know the real teachings come from the wordless virtues, the virtues without saying a word. Here I use a picture of 4 seasons. Why I use this picture? Because we are going to share a verse from the Analects. In the Analects, one day Confucius said, I would prefer not speaking. And then Zigong was a very talented, also very eloquent disciple, also very good in politics. And Zigong said, if you, master, do not speak, then what shall we have to record? Then we don't know what to take notes. We don't have anything to take notes. And then Confucius gave him an answer. In White Yang era, we know we need to preach a lot because it's the last salvation. And Heavenly Mother wants all of us, all the heavenly children, to go back. So we need to preach. But sometimes we might think that if we are very good at preaching, then we will be very successful in propagating Tao. But the truth is, not always. Not always very good at preaching is very successful in propagating Tao. And here Confucius gives us an answer. Confucius said, does heaven speak anything? Heaven speaks nothing, but the 4 seasons pursue their courses, and all things are continually being produced. But does heaven say anything? So from this answer, we know that eloquence is not essential in Tao propagation. But during our 5-year Tao cultivation class, all of us attending the Tao cultivation class, even especially when in the lecture training class, we train to become a lecturer. And what we are doing, is that contradictory to Confucius' teachings? No, actually not contradictory. Of course, because it's the last salvation, we need to preach. If we don't say anything, then people wouldn't understand. But Confucius wants us to know the most powerful, the most influential, what can really influence people is not our eloquence, and it is our virtue. There was a Tao senior back in 1970s. He already up in heaven, and he has the holy position. Heavenly Mother 封这位前贤为灵真仙。Probably you have heard 灵真仙. And we all know that Ling Zhenxian, when he received Tao, he was 70 years old. He passed away at the age of 88. When he was 88 years old, he passed away. So only 18 years, he has guided numerous people to receive Tao. And was he eloquent in preaching Tao? He said the only principle, the only thing he could preach was Tao is good. Tao is very good. The only thing he could say was this. And for further profound elaboration, he couldn't do anything about it. So apparently, virtues are essential. Eloquence is optional. But all of us, we attend the 5-year Tao cultivation class. And Holy Revelation, Buddhism, Bodhisattva wants us to 讲道越讲入性理. Of course, we need to preach. We need to learn. And we need to preach the most profound principle of our true nature. Of course, we need to be eloquent, of course. But during the process, just don't forget that we need to simultaneously, we need to cultivate our virtues. We need to practice what we preach. Okay, next. So, because virtue is essential, so saints and sages, they teach people by setting an example. Before they lead, they serve. Before they preach, they practice. I believe that there are many Tao seniors who have gone abroad to preach Tao and successfully propagate Tao in overseas countries. I believe that all of them, when they come to a new country, before they lead, they serve. They don't come to conquer, they come to serve and help. And because of their sincerity, they touch many people's heart. So people want to follow. And of course, because heavenly decree is true, Tao is true, heavenly decree is true, principle is true. And plus, all the Tao pioneers, their attitude, they come to serve and help. So people want to follow. Okay. And saints and sages understand the principle of Wu Wei. So they work with myriad things, but they do not control. Saints and sages conduct themselves in the same way Mother Nature nourishes everything in the world. They follow the example of Mother Nature. They take care of everyone with diligence and humility. Diligence means all the saints and sages, they never say they are tired of this. They are tired of propagating Tao. They are tired of helping people. They would never complain that they are tired. They will do their best to serve you until their last breath. If they complain they are tired, then they are not saints and sages. Well, on the way, on the track leading to our destination, 在这个成圣成贤的路上 难免 sometimes we will complain about, like, we have done so many things and we feel tired or something like that. But we know that that's not the right attitude, because saints and sages never say they are tired. That's why Confucius 诲人不倦. And I remember 普贤菩萨无有疲厌. Sorry, I didn't. This just come out. I did not prepare it in English, but I believe that you understand the Chinese. So all the bodhisattva, all the saints and sages, they understand diligence without complaining about being tired, and they will do their best until their last breath. And with diligence plus humility, if they are diligent but they are arrogant, then they are not saints and sages. They are diligent and they are humble. Humility means they serve and you follow, but they have no intention to control you. They do not control. They work with mere things, but they do not control. So the last line of this slide, this is an example of being 无为. So they 生而不有, they create, but they do not possess. They will not say, I introduced Tao to you, now you belong to me, you are my property. They wouldn't say that. They create, but they do not possess. They act, but they do not regard anything as entitling them to privileges. See, they learn from the virtues of Mother Nature. Therefore, they accomplish many things like Mother Nature would do for all of us. After fulfilling their duties, saints and sages still feel as if they have done nothing, because they just think it's their duties. Like you get up in the morning, you stop to wash your face, you brush your teeth, and after you're doing all this, you feel you have done nothing because it's routine. It's, as a person, as a human being, it's what we have to do. It's the very basic. So saints and sages, they have done many things to benefit the world, but they think it's their responsibilities. They think they have done nothing, and they don't entitling them to any privileges at all, and they don't claim credit for themselves. That's why they become saints and sages, because they are so virtuous, and they succeed but do not dwell on success. Their intention is not to ask for any recognition or developing their reputation because of their hard work. And once saints and sages achieved the goals of saving sentient beings, they refrain from being the center of attention and would not expect anything in return. This is called do not dwell on success. So they are really people of noble characters. But what heaven needs, who will sit on the lotus throne in heaven? Who will become Buddhas and Bodhisattvas in heaven? These kind of people will become. They're so virtuous, so touching. And this is the last slide. I believe this is the last slide today. It is because they do not dwell on success that it never goes away. Saints and sages are so humble and broad-minded that they don't even request acknowledgement for all the good deeds they have done for human beings. They see these good works as their responsibility. Therefore, their virtues and great reputations are sustained throughout eternity. So since they don't ask anything in return, but heavenly matter gives them the best reward, and that reward is eternity. We can see this eternity from this reward from many examples of Buddhas, Bodhisattvas, Lao Tzu, Confucius, Jesus Christ, and recently 老祖师、师尊、师母、老前人跟前人 they have achieved all of them have achieved eternity, and we are very honored to be in the holy team. So let's follow in their footsteps. And I believe we are through our sharing and discussion, and I believe Lao Tzu has taught us a lot. We've learned and inspired and encouraged from chapter 2. And this is the end of my sharing. If I have made any mistakes, I hope God and Buddha to forgive me, and I hope my sisters and brothers, you can give me comments. Thank you very much.